Hi, I'm Mark Hummel. I hope you're enjoying the Harmonica Party and the other content that we post on our channel. Now you can become part of the show for the price of a cheap cup of coffee. For $3 a month, you can help bring the blues and the stories to you. Check out our Patreon page and join us for exclusive content, early releases of episodes, and some rewards specifically for our Patreon friends. Thanks for helping us keep the blues alive. Here we are back with Elvin Bishop and Bob Welsh, and I think I left off talking about the Butterfield Band. By the time you left in '69, he had added horns and had worn a, what would you say, like R&B direction maybe, or how would you
Yeah, a little
describe
bit
that?
more. It was fun playing with the horns, so that's for sure.
I wish there was more video footage of that lineup. But there's some at the Monterey,
That's
Pop
right.
Festival where you can hear it,
Yeah,
and it sounds great because they're doing like a drifting and drifting.
right. That's great, actually.
Elvin,
Yeah.
Mark Naftalin arranged that. He made a nice arrangement.
yeah, that was a good arrangement.
David Sanborn used to kill on a lot of stuff,
So he was in the band when you were in there?
yeah,
Oh, cool. And he stayed in, I think, right to the end, didn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's on the very last album, so he was in there till the end. So what was it? Where did you decide you wanted to start your own band?
Late '60s, I guess. It's a normal thing,
Yeah.
You get to do one or two songs that you are really close to your heart every night, and then after a while, the feeling starts creeping in on you. What if I got to do all songs that I wanted?
Mm-hmm.
I hope you don't get feeling like that too soon, Bob.
Well, yeah. No, things are different now, and
Yeah.
I think I remember you telling me that, your first record deal, that you kind of had a little help maybe from some of the members of Jefferson Airplane. I think you might have been in the same place. as them.
Indirectly, yeah. They had a law. It was against the law to be in a place where marijuana was being consumed. And I was at a party at the Jefferson Airplane's house. I was drinking. I wasn't, smoking weed, but they put me in jail anyway.
Wow.
And their lawyer came and got me out. He said, "Have you got a record contract?" I said, "No." He said, "You want one?"
Wow.
Yeah. So he got
That's
me
pretty
with
easy.
Bill Graham, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, and that was with Capricorn Records? Or
No, that was with Bill Graham's label.
Bill Graham's label. Fillmore, yeah.
Mhm. And you had Applejack in there, and I think wasn't Steve Miller on the record?
I don't think Steve Miller was.
Was he not on that record?
He was on the next one, maybe
Right.
the second one or the third one.
Right. And then Joe Baker, she came into the band, what, about 3 albums in or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So obviously you were writing at that point. I would think that it would help to be writing when you have somebody else that's singing. It probably makes it a little bit easier to write. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that plays a part in it?
That's probably true. If you're writing for yourself, then you got to deal with your own limitations, and you have to write within those.
Right.
You're writing, like Joe Baker had a really nice range and
Mm-hmm.
soulful quality.
Right.
So
Well, when you wrote Fool Around, you kind of had that little chord structure.
I tried to talk 2 or 3 people into singing it. Joe Baker,
She didn't want to do it.
didn't quite butter the biscuit for her, and then Ricky Kellogg.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
He had
Wow.
a great voice, but
Yeah.
he didn't, have a feeling for the
Didn't
tune.
relate to it, yeah. And that's a great song. I mean, that's really, you got, that's great songwriting. You were
There
right.
he goes being nice again.
No, I'm serious. I was thinking about it. And I was thinking, just your construction of the way you put together songs, you obviously put a lot of care and you must have patience to be able to write like that. Because I mean, I know from myself, a lot of times I kind of rush job songs. They'll come out and I won't really mess with them all that much afterwards. And you seem to put a lot of care into how you,
Try to get them as good as possible, you know.
yeah.
I've always been lucky because I've had really great musicians in my band, you know.
Mhm.
My MO would be to write as much of the tune as I could, then bring it to a rehearsal and not give anybody any hints, just see what people could come up with, you know. And
Yeah.
because I figure you're limiting yourself if you don't get all the help you can with something, you know.
Which is why you got this guy.
No, he's in the band for good looks. No,
He wasn't wearing his glasses when he hired me.
Bob's a great. He's the most in demand guy I know.
He sure is.
He
man.
does gigs with
Absolutely.
Musselwhite,
Yeah. T-Birds.
T-Birds, yeah.
I'll tell you one thing is that I've never experienced, being in a band where I've had a band leader such as yourself, but also, I mean that in a great way, great band leader.
He goes being
But,
We're all buttering you up, Elvin.
yeah.
But the guitar parts that Elvin comes up with, and we do these 2 guitar parts, and I'm
Right.
really proud of because
Yeah.
nobody really does that.
No.
I can't think of anybody, and
Pretty
that's
unusual.
and the stuff that Elvin comes up with, I would never think of.
Yeah.
So it's like really a cool thing.
Yeah, that's kind of been your one of your trademarks for a long time.
Yeah.
I want to say I remember I saw you, believe it or not, I saw you on Midnight Special one time
Uh-huh.
with Johnny V and the band.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was, I think, when you must have just signed the Capricorn deal. And you really had all the 2 guitar stuff worked out. Was part of that because of the label that you guys were on? The fact it was kind of the Allman Brothers, same label as the Allman Brothers, or not really?
No, and there wasn't really an Allman Brothers influence.
Yeah.
I have to say I've heard live recordings of him and Bloomfield together,
Right.
where they're doing like "Get Out My Life, Woman," and
Doing the parts together?
And well, there's this one part, where I think Bloomfield is like doing something like that, and then Elvin like copies him up high, like.
Oh, interesting.
It just sounds fabulous, man.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
they were doing that. They probably influenced the Allman Brothers. These
That
2
wouldn't
guys.
surprise me.
That
no.
would make more sense to me.
Yeah. No, I think you guys had quite a reach in that band, the 2 guitar thing.
Yeah, definitely. They were a big influence on me.
Yeah.
Dwayne Allman was great. So was Dickie.
Oh yeah,
in his
they're both
prime.
fabulous, man. No,
Yeah.
I was
For
saying
sure.
about that tune, Ramblin' Man. What a great song. He
Yeah.
wrote.
Yeah.
Words and music.
Right. That's Dickie Betts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My idea, aside from Bob, the best guitar player in America today is Derek Trucks, I think.
Oh, Derek is great guitar player.
And he's very much about slide.
Yeah, but he's not Dwayne Jr.
Yeah.
He plays in that open E tuning,
Mm-hmm.
but he does so much more with it.
Yeah, he's almost like a lead guitar player. So,
Yeah, well, he is a
He
lead
is a
guitar
lead
player.
guitar player, yeah.
But he can play. I hear influences from gospel singers and saxophone players and everything in his playing.
Interesting.
Most guys who play slide just wang it straight across,
Right.
But he'll search out different combinations of notes, and
So he's really got a unique thing to what he does.
I think so.
Yeah. Speaking of slide, Earl Hooker seems to have been a pretty huge influence on you.
He was an eye opener to me.
Yeah.
Most people, like the Southern rock guys, most of them, they'll put the slide on their middle finger
Mm-hmm.
so they can support it on either side with these 2 fingers, And they use, maybe it seems like a big heavy slide, and they kind of
Right.
need to do that, otherwise you lose control.
Right.
Earl Hooker put a little small
Oh, interesting.
slide on his little finger that left all these open to play the guitar just like regular.
Right.
And he figured out how to actually pick out melodies and stuff instead of just relying on what came under your hand, you know.
Right. So he tended to use it like just for embellishments, but then he could play a lead
Yeah.
right under that.
Yeah, you'll hear that in his songs.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Did you know him at all?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Music-wise, he was
Just
the greatest.
phenomenal.
He was the greatest. He was recognized in Chicago as the greatest guitar player.
Right.
He
That's
could
kind of
go
what
up
I'd
on,
always heard.
he could go up on anybody's bandstand,
Right.
and not even ask permission, just go like this, and the guitar player would give it up.
Yeah. Wow.
and he'd just start playing.
Yeah. I heard a story about him and BB together playing a guitar battle one time. Yeah.
That should have been interesting.
And didn't you also say that, you know, every time you saw Earl Hooker play, he had a different guitar kind of a thing?
Yeah, he was kind of like Hubert. He could get any old pawn shop guitar and make it sound great.
Right.
Those pawn shop guitars that had the pickups with the holes, you know.
Nationals, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then there's that guitar that I've sort of, you've been lending me, that airline guitar.
Yeah, right.
He had like a, you know, I think Willie Johnson played one of those.
Did he play an airline?
I think so, yeah.
Did you get to see him at all?
No, I
Willie
don't
Johnson.
know anything about him.
Yeah.
He was a guy that played on the old Wolf records.
Yeah, on the real old Wolf records. Yeah. You saw Wolf a lot, I guess.
I saw him a couple times, not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What about Little Walter?
I saw him a couple times. I actually played with him one time.
Did you really?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
How'd that happen?
We used to have these things called twist parties at the University of Chicago
Oh yeah.
at Ida B. Noyes Hall. And we'd have a Wednesday night jam session. Everybody, all jazz musicians would come, blues musicians, anybody. One night Walter showed up.
Wow.
I think he played with us with the Butterfield Band at Big John's one time.
How was he?
Nervous.
Was he?
I don't think he felt comfortable in those situations.
Right.
You know, he sounded great.
Yeah.
And when Elvin was a teenager, he saw like Buddy Holly and Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, like, you know, one night, and they came.
Is that a Kane's Ballroom or something?
No, they used to have these. I don't know if this was the Dick Clark one or a different one, but they'd have these bus tours where they'd have like 20 good acts, you know, and they'd come around. They'd just play in some big auditorium in every town, you know.
Right.
I remember Larry Williams was on it, Jerry Lee Lewis, Buddy Holly. I told you about Chuck Berry.
Oh yeah, Chuck Berry.
Nobody knew much about electric instruments.
Right.
He'd do this thing. He'd take the plug and stick it halfway in and go, "Brrrr." He said, I think it needs some super anahist.
Fooled around and fell in love. That was how hot was that record? Did that go to number one?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. But it was in the top 10 basically.
I think it made it to number 3.
Number 3.
Or about what happened. Yeah.
So would you say that changed your world when it did that? Pretty much.
I guess it did. It booted us up into we were heading in a pretty good direction anyway before that happened, and we started playing a lot of big gigs.
Yeah, and be the headliner pretty much.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And was that Terry in there at that point? Terry Hanck? Fly obviously was in there.
Yeah. Terry, I think he was. According to him, I read some kind of thing when he did that Wednesday night thing at the Little Fox, you know.
Right.
And they give you that blast on the computer, and it's, I guess, Mindy Giles. She said he had movie star good looks, and then he did some quote about riding around in limos with us with the Butterfield Band, you know.
You don't recall that, huh?
His face is missing on all the album covers, you know.
He was all the way to the left.
He's a great musician.
No, he is a great
musician. A lot of
musician.
fun to play
I
with.
love Terry, yeah. Well, like I said, the first time I saw you was Terry and Ricky's band, Grayson Street at
Grayson
Keystone.
Street, yeah.
I remember another time I saw you at the Coffee Gallery. You came to one of Otis's gigs, And it was kind of surreal because you and Otis were both at the bar, and I heard him say, he goes, "Yeah, I just saw you on TV."
Otis, which Otis is this?
Otis Rush.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he said that to you, and I thought, that's got to be kind of weird for Elvin to hear Otis Rush telling this. But I was going to say on that solo, to me, that solo is very much of a blues solo on Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people cover that song, a lot of great bands and everything,
Yeah.
but nobody ever gets the solo worth
No.
anything, you know?
Mm-mm.
And it's like, well, the singer might be good and they might be playing the perfect bass and piano part,
Yeah.
but no one can ever play the guitar part right. So
Well, it's very much your,
I can't
You
play
know.
it right half the time.
no, it's very much your thing that you're doing on that solo there. You even sneak in a Luther Tucker lick on there at the very end.
I suppose so. Yeah.
well, just a word out to all the bands that play Fool Around. That's how Elvin judges you, not from anybody else, but can you play the guitar part right?
If you can't,
And most of you can't. Sorry.
Wow.
right.
As long as they put a few pennies in the mailbox, they can play it any
Exactly.
way they want.
That's right.
That's right.
You've gone from leading bands for quite some time now to basically
150 years only.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels like that. But going from that to all of a sudden trimming it down to a trio.
I always like to kind of make sure everybody's getting enough to keep themselves satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like the horns and the piano and 7 or 8 pieces, and I spent a lot of time standing around and dishing out solos to different people.
Right.
And finally I said, man, I need to just get it down and
Consolidate
just
it,
get
yeah.
more direct with it, you know.
Yeah.
It's been a beneficial experience in some ways, you know, because it's tightened up my rhythm playing, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to keep up with Bob is a hell of a job, I'll tell you.
Well, I really hear that you come from a country blues place when you're playing in that format. I mean, even something like What the Hell, and the way you're playing like in an A position, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, just something like that is very much that country blues kind of thing. You've been at it long enough that you've really seen the U.S. change in this dramatic way in terms of the road.
It's a fact. The romance of travel has worn off.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
on me anyway.
Yeah. You must feel lucky about just the way your career has gone.
I am lucky. I've been in the right place at the right time, an unfair number of times.
Right.
We have some gigs with Charlie coming up.
Right. That was the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, is that record that you guys did.
Yeah.
Because that is such a great record. And to me, it's like, you know, of all the things you and Charlie have done over the years separately, that album together is a real masterpiece. Just the way you guys were able to blend, and it sounds totally organic. It doesn't sound forced at all. And just, you guys, well, I mean, it's great because Bob has played.
Put that together.
I was going to say, Bob has played with both of you guys for so long. I mean, especially been playing with Charlie for years now. And that he knows both of your styles really well.
And Bob has such a great knowledge of old blues that Charlie and I'll sit down and we're doing the best we can, but he knows exactly what needs to
How to
be
pull it
added
together,
to make the whole thing work good. You know?
Right.
Well, it's easy for me because I'm playing with two legends, you know, who are delivering blues in such a way that, you know, you want it to sound like. And so I just...
Gee, we're saying all the right things, aren't we, Bob?
I'm telling you. But you and Charlie go way back. I mean, you guys are really, you know, the original Chicago cats, you know, they came out here back in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, one year, just about half the blues musicians
In Chicago.
came.
True.
Cotton and
Cotton and Tucker.
and Magic Sam, and
Right.
I don't know who all. Bloomfield let me take over his house when he moved out. It was in Mill Valley.
Oh, okay.
Then I moved to the city and I stayed in house with this guy, Gideon Daniels. You ever heard of him?
Weren't you talking about him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an amazing, amazing guy. His dad was a preacher in Philadelphia, and he used to go on the road with the Mighty Clouds of Joy,
Wow.
Clara Ward, and people like that. You know,
Too much, man.
we used to go eat at a place which is down by the Winterland called Brother Parker's, little hole in the wall place. Great soul food, real cheap, and they had a jukebox that was just full of quartet records, you know, old 50s gospel stuff.
Wow.
Did he mentor Mickey Thomas at all?
Yes. He used to. His dream was kind of a rainbow band, you know. He had Filipino guys and Japanese guys.
One time we were doing a benefit, I think, that you played for me, and my parents were there, and I told my mom that you spoke Japanese, and I introduced you to her, and she taught English in Japan,
Oh.
and you two were talking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you learned to write it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big undertaking.
Just like a big crossword puzzle, you know. The more,
But you're being modest.
well, it's a fun thing. I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. And what inspired you to learn that?
I did several tours of Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and they were big on the Fillmore thing was a big deal to them, you know.
Right.
I'd be walking around with the Japanese musicians, and I'd ask, I was fascinated by the looks of the writing on the signs. I said, what does that say? What does that say?
Mm-hmm.
And I got tired of asking them, so I bought a little book.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that you discovered the Pointer Sisters, right?
I don't remember how that happened.
Oh, okay. But they ended up singing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before they went sky high.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Elvin.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Good job.